You're my darling, darling baby. You're my sweet and tender love. You're a very special lady. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Morning Garden Show. Just hanging out, doing a little bit of live streaming. Got some just finished watching quite a few videos, and they got these new grow devices coming out, and a lot of trying to revolutionize the way that people get their foods. Um, they got they got nice little units that you set up, little tiny little units that grow basically herbs. You get them at home and you set them up. Those things are priced anywhere from $99 all the way up to $400. Little tiny little unit, and some of them are computerized. They know when and temperatures, when you need water. They tell you every little thing you need to know about the plant and when to do what you need to do. That in and of itself is quite worth worth a lot. But $400 for a couple of pieces of herbs, don't think so. Don't think so at all. I need a device that's price smart, can tell you or remind you rather, if you're growing corn, when to plant it, when to water it. Uh, Now, some of the professional farmers are using sensors in the ground that tell them when they need to water, that sort of thing, the temperature of the ground, and it conveys that information straight into the house, onto the laptop, and then they could or their cell phone, and they can actually um, get that information and use that information. So, but that kind of technology comes with a price. I mean, you imagine being at home and you open up your cell phone and there is information about when to water your corn because it senses that you need to water your corn. Temperature is certain degrees of moisture levels, and it just go on and on and on. pH of the soil. Uh, what is the fertility in the soil like? I mean, you can go on and on. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. First one that came into the room, popped up there and said something to me. I appreciate that very much. Um, I'm just sitting back, chilling, as they say, in Maryland, and it is, what's the temperature today? Let me check real quick because I'm a temperature watcher. I like to watch temperatures depending on what time of day it is. 41 degrees. We got rain. It's taking place right now. A little bit of rain. You can see the little raindrop. What is it? Raindrop? No, that went away. But at any rate, I'm having a good time just sitting in the house, being good, trying to stay safe. And I think I'm going to go through my seeds today just to see what I have. These are all my new seeds. They will be put in my container with my other seeds. I like to keep everything together, trying to know where it is. This video, this live stream is entitled, basically how to keep it easy when you garden and without running into a whole lot of problems. And don't ever make gardening complex. It's just not a good deal to do that. I've watched a number of videos this weekend, excuse me, and when I watch these videos, I listen and I pay attention. But the main thing I keep an eye on is people's soil. I always look at your soil in the videos because a lot of us have pretty bad soil, but can be improved, can be made better. Um, and that's one thing I want to get across is that just because you have soil that's not that great doesn't mean it has to be that way. You can always change it. Um, so focus primarily on your soil. Stay on that. Don't worry about too much of anything but the soil. add the compost. If you have clay soil, add the compost. If you have sandy soil, add the compost, and you will make your soil so much better. My soil is doing pretty good now, um, and the reason for that is compost. I've been adding compost for many years, and even though my soil is clay, um, it's been greatly improved. I am so excited that I think I'm going to actually start planting some stuff indoors, like herbs, and let that keep me entertained until the weather breaks. Because you can grow quite a bit of items in your house. You don't have to have any specialized equipment. Just research what you're going to grow, what grows best indoors, and actually set it up and get the ball rolling. Oh, okay, 47 degrees and rainy in Virginia. Virginia. Oh yes, a lot of good places to grow in Virginia. I used to know some people from Virginia many years ago. Um, but you're doing great. You're doing great. You can grow a lot there. Um, 47 degrees. Yesterday we had 52 degrees here. Then it dropped. And it might actually get warmer today. Let's see. I'm fascinated by this. You could not do this years ago. If you actually go to your phone and do this. I remember with phones, all you could do with a phone was just basically um, make a call, and that's all it did. Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let's see. It shows the temperature today is going to it's going to go up. Well, the high today is going to be about 42, so another degree higher, and that's going to be the maximum it'll hit today. Yeah, weather apps are incredible. Weather apps are absolutely incredible. Couldn't do that years ago. Couldn't do it. I mean, and what I like about it is when you start to do your garden in the spring, there are certain items that you're going to put out first, and I start looking at the nighttime temperatures. I don't worry about too much in the daytime. Those nighttime temperatures. When I get a consistent temperature of 55 to 60 degrees, I know that at a certain time, I mean, it's time to put certain items outside. 55 to 60 degrees for my warm weather crops. They can survive in there. But the crops that are cool season, uh, I keep an eye on that because they're the first things I put out. Now, when I want to really get a cool season crop out, even without using the app, there are certain bulbs that come up on my property at a certain time of the year. And when I see those bulbs, I know it's time to plant. They tell me when spring is right straight around the corner, and I use those apps. I mean, excuse me, those bulbs. Now those bulbs were there before when I bought the house. I didn't put them there. Can't remember the name of them right offhand, but uh, they are bulbs that actually help me to uh, grow my garden. Been helping me for many years now. So it's a thing that works for me. Growing made easy. And I'm telling you, I mean, you can get real sophisticated and spend a boatload of money on a lot of different things. I mean, they got kits that have filters, they have fans, temperature, I mean, on and on and on and on, and you can spend the money. Now, what I did, I have a big box in an area of my home that a neighbor was throwing out many years ago, let's say 7, 8 years ago. And I got it because I looked at it and said, there's something to be done with this. This is can definitely be repurposed. The box is huge. And I took the box and put it in a location where I can um, put plants in it. I uh, put the light in it, temperature devices that I could use, thermostats. I have thermostats that control heating mats. I put that in there. Um, I mean, I just got crazy with it and made it work. I mean, it's a very sophisticated box. It's not like it wasn't ever designed to be like what it is, but uh, I definitely hooked it up. Let me hold you tight, if only for the night. All right. And the one thing I do need for my good morning, good morning, good morning. I am looking for thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you. Um, I am looking for a couple of fans or maybe just one fan. I have a fan that is an oscillating fan, but it's just too big. So I want a smaller fan, and I'm gonna put that in a location. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Um, and I'm gonna hook a fan up because I never used a fan, and I didn't actually want to use a fan, but I think I will. This year. The first time I use it, and I think I'm gonna use it because I just think it'll keep down problems with disease on plants. I've never had problems, but I want to make certain that I don't. Morning gardener, fellow gardener. Good morning, fellow gardeners. Good morning, fellow gardeners. I love that. People come in and say hello and, you know, and definitely get the morning start out right. And I am so excited. I just can't hide it. Okra will be started indoors this year. Um, Sunflowers will be started indoors this year. And because I think I just want to get a jump on it, but I will be careful. Some things I will not start indoors, like plants that get really huge. I will not start indoors. Like I'll give you an example. I would not start squash plants indoors. Won't do it. Pumpkin plants won't start them because it just get way too big. Way too big. I don't want to do that. I mean, I could, but I don't see the point. They're very fast growers as well, extremely fast, in fact. The only thing I'm interested in growing this year, and that would be okra, corn, and corn. Oh, corn will be started indoors this year as well. The reasoning for that is that I want to get a jump on my corn. The corn that I'm growing takes 90 days to maturity. That being it's called peaches and cream. I love peaches and cream. Absolutely love peaches and cream. And in fact, I'm thinking of it right now. I might go ahead and buy my peaches and cream seeds today because I'm not going to wait until. One thing I'm not going to do, and I've never done, once I learned how to garden. I have never waited for spring to start buying everything when every single item you go for is marked completely through the roof, and you have no way of combating that price because you this way my first year gardening and corn don't do well. Let's see what we got here. Good morning, everybody. I love that. Let's see, Nature's Nine and family. Greetings, morning gardener, and everyone here. See, this is a very respectful individual. Comes in the room and does that. And I just finished watching one of your videos, um, and I will say that you come a long ways, and you're doing really well. You're doing really extremely well. Um, and you got a lot of land to grow stuff in your location. And I'm just saying, you could do you're doing an incredible job. I think you were having some problem with deer cutting down or damaging some of your sugar cane. And I said something to the effect that I put in these new uh, dwarf fruit trees. First time out, they were getting bigger. I mean, and I'm gonna tell you something. The snow started to fall, and I remember I had an opportunity to put these protective guards around the plants, and I said, no, I don't need them. They're too expensive. I don't want them. And what I should have did is got some wire from one of the hardware stores and cut and then bent it into a circle and put it around my trees with enough room for So anyway, um, I didn't do that, and what happened was a mouse crawling around in the snow at night made his way over to one of my apple trees, and he cut it all the way around and left about that much on the other side. And I said he cut all the way through to the Cambrian layer and everything. I left that tree there and said, I'm going to lose this tree because he cut it almost all the way around. And all he was doing was eating the bark. He was hungry out there in the snow, and everything he normally eats is on the snow. So he found a stick it up through the snow, and of course it looked appetizing to him. So he chewed it all the way around, almost killed the tree. Now that tree today, instead of being this big around, is now this big around. And that tree is too big right now for anything in my location to damage it. So it's doing good. Now, each year the apple tree never ever produces apples. Never produces apples. And I got to figure out what's going on with that because the ones I just bought from Stock Brothers, those apple trees are producing. They're producing fruit, and they're getting better. Now, I have a few trees on my property that I call them trash trees. I don't know the name of them, but they hang over and they block sun from your trees and your vegetables that you want to eat. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hire a tree service person and get them out here and cut all that stuff back, get some sunlight back onto my property. Now, once I get that done, let me see now, let me get it right. Once I get that done, um, all the wood that he cuts up, he's gonna leave on my property. He's gonna leave it right here. I have a chainsaw, I mean everything, but I want the wood left here because I know that I will cut that wood up and I will feed it to my trees. I will put it in certain areas of my yard to create habitat for snakes, so that I can let the snakes deal with the mice and that sort of thing. And when I lay wood around the base of my trees, trust me, folks, it's a method. There's a method to my madness. There's a method to it. I'm not going to throw away wood and then turn around and go out and buy fertilizer. I just threw away fertilizer that was the wood. No, I'm not going to do that. So that being said, my trees, my fruit trees are doing extremely well as far as growing big and bulky. And they're doing that because when my neighbor cut down some of the trees on his property, and I said, leave them on my side. He did. He left a lot of wood. I took that wood. It was all pieces like this and everything, and I grabbed up these pieces and put them all around my trees and left them there. And now, if you go there, you won't see those limbs anymore. You won't see it. Why? Nature takes care of it. They're not there anymore. So when I do my pruning, I prune my trees and I prune them and I leave the cuttings around the base of my tree. Madness? I think not. But that's what I do. I don't like spending unnecessary money when I can do it a better way and do it for less or do it for cheap. I don't see the point. We are programmed to look at those colorful little packages at the box stores and buy stuff. We're comfortable with that. I see people buying all kinds of stuff. And I'm fascinated when I go into a box store and I see people when spring first comes on and I see everybody and their mama in there um, uh, buying wood chips. Yes, wood chips in bags, $4 a pop. And and I look at that and say, wow, all they had to do was call an arborist and get almost 10,000 pounds dumped at one take. It wouldn't cost them a dime, but they don't know. I like what my neighbor did. He saw me at one point getting those 10 and 20,000 pound drops, um, and and then he started getting them. But see, he's doing a large project, which is he's doing a neighborhood um, situation where the neighborhood uh, garden, and that wasn't even thought of until I started gardening in my area almost 20 years ago. And people kept asking me, "Where are you getting all this fresh fruit at? Where are you getting all this these tomatoes from? Where are you getting all this squash from?" And the ladies would come over to my yard. Oh, and by the way, it's a great way to meet ladies too, is to have a garden, because they'll actually come over to your garden and look around. I've had it happen many occasions. They come right over to the garden and ask questions and want to know how can they get the garden started and how long you've been doing it and that sort of thing. And they would come over and ask questions, and then you would see them puttering around, so to speak, in their backyards, creating a garden. Um, but I don't mind sharing the knowledge. I will give the information freely. And I love my favorite trees would have to be, it once was my peach trees. I still love my peach trees, but I like my apple trees more because when I got the apple trees, I got crazy with them and I wound up getting over. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I wound up getting 10 apple trees. And I said to myself, if each one of these apple trees produce um, 40 apples, what are you going to do with all those apples? I mean, there's churches around and families around that are impoverished. They can use fresh apples. Let's see, I pick up my firewood chips from my city. Oh, okay, okay. You pick up from the city. Okay, that's good. That's a real good resource there. Yeah, I would like to. I would like to have compost. No, wait a minute. I'm skeptical about compost. So when the city goes out and get those leaves, and people have swept those leaves up from in front of their door, in front of their curbs, and some of that stuff gets oil and grease on them from cars, and you can run into some problems with that. I don't want to bring oil and gasoline and that sort of thing onto my property. Backyard gardening. Hello, hello. In the house, backyard garden. Um, haven't seen many videos yet, but I'm still looking. You'll be putting some more out. I'm pretty sure. Um, that's hello morning garden and chat. Spoke to the whole room. That's how you do it. I am excited because I see my neighbor looked at my garden to see what she can what she can get from the garden. Look, let me tell you something. Funny story. I'm in my car sitting in the driveway because kids keep going in my yard. At one point, they were going in my yard. And I know I might have a bigger problem than that because they just opened up they just tore down one school and put a much bigger school there. But at any rate, I digress. I'm in the yard with my neighbor. Yeah, yeah. Me and the old guy were sitting in the car. And we're sitting there in the car. And he said, "Why are you sitting in the car?" I said, "Because behind us, the kids are going in the yard at different times and they're trying to steal fruit and stuff." So I'm sitting in the car and me and him got involved in a conversation. We talking and talking. Next thing you know, I look in the rear mirror and I said, "What?" And there's two kids rolling out two pumpkins that they could not pick up because they were too big. And I looked at them and I said, "Oh my God." I jumped out of the car and they took off running. They took off running. Them kids ran like they had wings on their feet. And I got to thinking, should have just let them have the pumpkins. It was just insane. It was insane. Two kids trying to pick up the pumpkins. They couldn't pick them up, so they started rolling them right past the car while I was sitting there trying to catch them. And when I looked up in the mirror and saw them, I said, "I don't believe this." And and I just wanted to grow some pumpkins. I didn't grow them for any special reason. I just grew the pumpkins because my neighbor had one of those jack o' lanterns on his porch, and I asked him, I said, "What are you gonna do with it?" And it was after Halloween, and and that sort of thing. So he said, "I don't know. I'm gonna put it in the trash." I said, "I'll take it when you get tired of it." He said, "You can take it now if you like." I took the seeds, put them in the ground, and the pumpkin he gave me was about like this, but the pumpkins I grew was like this. And and uh, and so I just and then discovered because keep in mind I was new and discovered that, oh, by the way, you can't eat these kind like you would make a pumpkin pie. These are a different type of pumpkin, more for ornamental use. You could probably eat them, but I wouldn't want to eat them because everything in them was like soft as I don't know, it was just really soft. Um, but I grew them extremely well. I mean, the soil supported a pumpkin, really big piece of fruit, and it just kept growing and growing. And I said, I like this. Um, I stuck them back in the day. I used to go to Walmart when I first started learning different techniques, and I would get these 40-pound bags of manure, cut a square out of in the center, poke some holes in the bottom, about 35, 40 holes with a screwdriver, flip it over, put a hole in about that, put the seed in, two seeds, three seeds, and let it go. And the pumpkin vines would grow like a mighty oak. They were just crazy. And it was a beautiful thing. Found out that you could also grow cantaloupe like that. And I did the same thing with them. I did the same exact identical thing with them. I cut a hole, I stabbed the bag, 35, 40 pounds, with a large screwdriver, flipped it over, utility knife, cut out the center, put 3 or 4 seeds in there, put a little water in there. It was growing in pure horse manure, and it was just growing. And when I saw these pumpkins, they were everywhere. And I said, wait 1 minute. How come these will grow so well when I do them this way, as opposed to when I tried to grow them in the ground? They were just shooting out everywhere. And I said, this is a lazy man way of doing it. I said, I love it. I love it. And the pumpkins did so well. I mean, they were big and they were growing so many pumpkins. They were growing so many. I would look under these huge leaves, and there were more and more pumpkins kept coming on. and they weren't being left behind like they were starving. They were growing. And I said, these are the eyes that never knew how to smile until you came into my life. Whoa, show and tell, just a game I play when I want to say I love you. All right, I guess that's it for me today, folks. I've been talking some of your heads off, and I know you're getting tired of hearing these old stories. But I gotta tell you, I just love gardening. What's a wonderful thing that I have to get back to work now. Oh, just work was showing some love. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So you just stopped by to say hello. Yep, but I tell you, if I see any of your videos and you have bags cut open, do it, folks. I'm telling you, get you some of that black cow just for fun. Don't. I don't know. I don't ever want to get a tire and put dirt in it, or soil in, excuse me, soil in it, and try to plant something in there. I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. Thank you for all the tips. I'm doing it. Which one are you going to do? Because I like the one that I threw out there about the cow manure. Because let's see, what is cow manure like? If you get the black cow, it's kind of pricey. If you try to go get that cheap stuff at Walmart, dollar 89 a bag, I just don't know what's in there. When you try to read what's in it, it doesn't give you any information. It could be sludge in there, anything, because all it says is manure. What kind of manure? Is it human? Is it horse manure? Is it cow manure? Is it a mixture? I don't know. Great idea about planting into black cow. Yep, absolutely. Black cow, you stick that seed in there, and I would actually go ahead and fertilize in there as well. I would not just do black cow in there. I would do the black cow, but it would be side dressing in there of all. Excuse me. Let me get it together, folks. It would be a side dressing of excuse me, a fertilizer that is comprised of, um, let me get this right, comprised of organic fertilizer. And that's what I would do. Let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. And the soil in that bag, that compost will stay warm because it's in plastic. And that's a great thing because watermelons don't like to be put out in the cold soil. They hate it. They hate it with a passion, and they'll show you by not growing. They'll show you by not growing. If you want to wind this video back, you can do it. And look up the part where you see it. It says, stab the holes in there with a large screwdriver, about 35, 40 holes. Flip that bag open, cut a hole in there about 10 inches by 10 inches or 10 inches by almost the length of the bag, about like that, and pop those 4 seeds in there. And then when you get about 2 of them that look like they're big, viable seeds, cut the other ones off, the other 2, and let them grow. You could do it with cantaloupe. You could do it with watermelon. You could do it with, oh God, what's the other thing? Honeydew melon. I mean, really, act crazy with it. And if you really want to show off, you'll say, I'm going to use this black cow. And see, now, it'll make me go grab the black cow quicker because when you wait till springtime and you try to go get black cow, you can hang that up. You can pretty much hang it up. That's a horse that's dead. You can beat it all you want. It's not getting up. Black cow is usually gone when the spring hits. And see me, I'll wait till it freezes outside. I'm that kind of gardener. I'll wait till it freezes solid outside where they shut down the garden department where I work at. I mean, excuse me, not work at, working in the garden department. I be there so much, so. just to talk to people and ask questions and that sort of thing. That's what I do. I'm in the garden department. And sometimes I'm over there so much that when I start giving out information, the the people that work in the store, I'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your. This is your." He said, "No, no." He said, "I didn't know that nitrogen is for the green growth and that the phosphorus for this and the potassium for that." He said, "I didn't know. Please help her." And I said, "Okay, well, thank you." And then I'll keep on going. And I get a line of them in there sometimes they, around me asking questions about what to do and where to go. And I tried to tell one guy, he was in there, they had a tree over there on special, and I said, "Sir, I would not get that tree." And he said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Well, let me ask you a question." I said, "Have you ever grown an apple tree before?" And he said, "No." I said, "How big a yard do you have?" He said, 10 feet by 10 feet. I said, "Okay, this is a standard tree, sir. This tree will get 35, 40 feet tall, 35, 40 feet across. Uh, what are you going to do?" And he said, "Oh, I didn't know." And I said, "You realize you need a second tree in order for this to cross with. Does your neighbor have a tree or do you have a second tree going?" He said, "No." I said, "This tree is going to just be a tree to you. It's going to produce blossoms, they'll drop, and then you'll have no fruit. You'll be sitting there going, I've had this tree for 5 years and it hasn't produced any apples. And plus it's getting too big for my yard and it's cracking the cement and it's crawling underneath the the foundation of my house." You don't want to do that. You don't want that kind of mistake. But he bought the tree anyway. And but not everyone does that because some people listen and say, he sounds like he might know what he's talking about. So I think I'm gonna hold off on this tree until I go read some information and get to understanding what I'm getting involved in. What am I trying to do? Am I trying to grow apples? Okay. If you just want to grow a tree, yeah, get it. And if you have enough room in on your property, yeah, get it. If you just want a big, huge green tree, get it. But if you want apples, second tree, and you're also going to need to know what size tree you can deal with. I can't believe I had quite a few people in the room today. I cannot believe that. This is really good. I usually go out with as many as 10 or 6, and it was at one point there were 17 people in this room. And someone said to me, they said, "You know something?" He said, "You got a really good show. However, you don't have a big audience." And he explained to me, you need to set a date to when you're going to actually be on and a time. And people will get accustomed to seeing that. And they'll say, "Oh, Morning Garden is on. That's why my watermelons won't grow." Oh, so what blessing you, thank you for sharing. Oh my goodness, this is another person that said a very nice thing. Thank you. I love to share information because I like to see people do well with the garden. When they do well with the garden, some of them actually got online and mentioned me. They would say, "The Morning Gardener has a great show," or they say, "The Morning Gardener, I learned this from," or "The Morning Gardener has got some good tips if you want some tips." And they'll do that, promoting me so that others can find out about me. And I really appreciate that. I only have like a few gardeners that are online that are mad with me about different things. I may say things that may offend some of them, like I'll say, "Hey, stop selling all of these junk to these gardeners, and they don't need to be wasting their money on it when it's an easier, cheaper, or free way to do it." I said, "Come on, don't do that to them. I mean, could you tell them the only way they could grow these potatoes is they must have this grow bag and it must be this size and it must be no, no." I'll tell them you can grow them potatoes in a trash bag. You can grow them in a trash bag. You can go to the store and get a pile of hay and put over top of some potatoes and let them grow up through that. I mean, you could do all kind of different ways to grow things. And they irritate me because what they do is they'll take, and this is not all gardeners. Keep that in mind. I'm saying all gardeners, but some gardeners, are in it for the money. And if they be honest about it, I wouldn't have a problem. Say, hey, look, I'm selling this item. You probably need it. You probably not need it. It'll make the job easier, but here's what it is. And I don't have no problem with that. But when they go, hey, it's the only way you can do this. You must buy this particular fertilizer. In order for this to grow, you must go to my site and purchase this fertilizer. And that's not right. And there's somebody out there trying to learn how to garden and feed their family and feed their kids, teach their kids how to survive. And they thinking the only way they can survive is to go to his site or her site and buy this particular product from them. And it can only be bought from him because without it, your stuff is not going to grow as pretty as his did. But what he's got on you, or she, is they have this vast amount of knowledge about how to grow cucumbers, for instance, like cucumbers. They know when to start the plant. They know what kind of soil. They know when to water it. They know how to cross-pollinate it or hand-pollinate it. They know how to do this stuff. And they'll leave all that out and just tell you need to buy this product. So on one hand, they're telling you some truth, but there's big gaps in it. So you get the product, and you'll grow a few cucumbers, and they won't be as big as his or hers. They won't be that big, all because I would love to see more of your videos using your method. That's it. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Thank you very much. I got to tell you that when you made as many mistakes as I have gardening, I've done it all. I remember one year I got all these leaves and it was this because it was a gardener online when I first started gardening, and I was learning, and he said get leaves. He said get these leaves and pour them all over your garden, and he said and then till them in. And so I did that. Put all these leaves in my garden. I mean, it was like about a foot high, and I tilled them in as far as I could get them in, and they went all up under the ground, and it was everything had leaves underneath of the ground, and then it started raining, which everything looked good. I said, all right, this looks moist, it's full of leaves and everything, and I put things in the ground, and they wouldn't grow, they wouldn't come up, the seed wouldn't come up, the plants wouldn't grow, and so I went and talked to a gentleman that was a bit more knowledgeable than I was, and watch this. And he said, you tilled in the leaves. He said, oh, what's happening is that the leaves are breaking down, so it requires a great deal of nitrogen to do that. So it's robbing your soil of nitrogen. So I said, oh, okay. I said, well, how do I get the nitrogen back? He said, you're going to have to probably wait the next year to get, how much did you put underground? He asked me. I said, about a foot and a half. And he said, yeah, you're going to have to wait till next year. He said, for that level to get back up. Anyway, so that was learned from watching somebody on YouTube that didn't know themselves, which was giving information out to someone else. And that's why, that happened to me. So when that took place, I said, okay, that's ridiculous. I don't believe I did that. Listening to a person online that just didn't know. And, and they was trying to make a video about something they had no knowledge of. So that being said, I learned from that because there are quite a few gardeners online that don't know, and they're giving information, and they give information as though it's gospel. But just say in the video, as a disclaimer, I do this with my garden. This is what I learned works for me. And then that way you're not misguiding anyone necessarily. Because, I mean, if you've been doing something over and over each year and you've been growing, say you're very successful at growing okra, and you can get online and say, this is what I do to grow okra. This is I'll water it every 2 days. I use this kind of fertilizer. This is what works for me. My soil is clay. I planted it in a sunny location. Now your stuff is making sense to people, and they can kind of go along with you because it's accurate. But when you start saying things like, oh, it must be in this size bucket in order to grow it, it must be in a 5-gallon bucket. It can't be. Another guy, he'll put a video out growing the same plant, just as big as yours, doing it in a 3-gallon bucket. And so it means your information is not correct. So I tell people don't do that to other people. Just say, I use a 5 gallon bucket. I use a 3 gallon bucket. It may work in a gallon bucket. It may work in a whiskey barrel, but this is what I use. Unless you've been growing corn in a bucket for 20, 30 years, where you know the ins and outs of dealing with corn. You know what it takes. You've grown them in soda cups. You've grown them in 5 gallon buckets. You've grown them in children's swimming pools. You've grown them in ground. You've grown them in flower pots. Then you can get on here and as an authority say, I've been growing corn for almost 35 years, and I've grown it in sandy soil. I've grown it in clay soil. I've grown it at nighttime, and I've grown it in my house. I've grown it all along many years. That's what I'm talking about. Give accurate information. And here in Maryland, all of my uh, fruits grow well in Maryland because I always look for everything that says Zone 7B. Because I had to learn a long lesson there. I went out and I purchased these beautiful grapevines. I did about three of them. They had about $15 a pop, and each one died. Every time it got wintertime, it died. And I said, I said, red globe grape, huge grape. You see them in a market. A big purple grape, about that big, has somewhat of a seed in it, but not quite a seed in it. Um, Planting, like this person put up here, planting pumpkins too late. Uh, I mean, I've done that. I've done it all. I've planted late. I've planted too early. I've made all the mistakes. I've planted in clay soil and thought I could actually get away with it. Say, I don't have to pay attention to my soil. I'll just plant, and somehow it'll work out. Somehow it'll happen for me, And it doesn't work that way. That soil is the key. And learning as much as you can about your soil is what the key is. If you have poor soil, admit it to yourself, I got poor soil. What can I do? And then you start trying to fix it. And when you fix the clay soil, now you got soil you can be proud of and happy about how plants grow in it. But if you're struggling and you're trying to find your way with your garden, it is best to find a reputable source of information uh, to to go with. Because I have went and bought books on gardening years ago, 700 pages, 500 pages of just all kind of information about how to grow flowers and plants and how to improve soil and everything. And I gave that book away because there was so much incorrect information in that book. I said, this doesn't make sense. I said, this doesn't make sense at all. They were telling you to till. I don't till. They were telling you to use fertilizer 10-10-10. That's man-made. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wait a minute. How much other information in here is incorrect? And I went through the book and found countless numbers of mistakes and all they were doing was the book was written by someone who learned from people who that's the way they did it. And they were making statements in the book as it's the only way it can be done. And these tomatoes must be planted 3 feet apart. And this must, and so, no, not necessarily. You got people using all kind of techniques of gardening, high density techniques, which simply means close together planting, um, sister planting. Some people actually plant. I can't think of the name of the style of gardening it is, but it's where they take okra, plant it with tomatoes, plant the tomatoes with corn, plant corn with peppers, and just plant everything together. They don't care how, it's not in any particular order. And those plants sometimes do well. Some plants will do well with others and some will not. I'm in Pennsylvania, areas have become. Some plants will actually kill the other plants, excreting certain chemicals. And when they want other plants to move out of their space, they will do that. But you will learn which ones work. But I plant my garden. I do not use straight rows. I use what they call techniques to help me kind of hide my garden. Um, I leave a lot of weeds in place in my garden because I know that as long as I back them away from my pepper plants, and I put around the pepper plants grass clippings that I've got out of my lawnmower bag, and I let some of the weeds grow. Guess what the weeds will do? They'll keep the soil cool. They'll keep. I don't have any bug bites on anything that I grow because with the weeds that grow on other parts of the yard, they'd much rather eat that than to come anywhere near my plants. I grow corn that has maybe one, maybe two bites taken out of maybe five different plants. And I'll look at that and go, wow, they're not eating this. Wow, they're not eating my squash plants. They're not eating my tomato plants. This is a good deal that I'm doing running. And I'll look over and I'll see a grasshopper or a hookworm and he's eating the weeds. He's not on my plants. Now, um, when you remove certain bugs from your garden, like the hookworms, I used to remove them and kill them. I remember that. And now I don't kill them anymore. I let them stay there. I let the hookworm stay there because there's a wasp that eats him that will come into your property and he'll eat him and he'll eat up other insects that may be onto your property. Praying mantis. I make a point when I spray my trees down with compost tea. I do not mess with my praying mantis. I do not mess with them. They are welcome in my yard. Absolutely welcome in my yard. Praying mantis have a home in my yard. Spiders have a home in my yard. They do not get threatened or killed or stepped on. It doesn't happen. I have had huge spiders in my yard, didn't know what kind it was. I have had praying mantis, small brown ones, those huge green ones. I do not bother them because they have a place and they keep down grasshoppers and crickets and that sort of thing. And I do get my share of crickets. I get my share of grasshoppers, but they do not eat my garden because I leave their natural food there, which is the weeds and grass and that sort of thing, and that's what they eat. They don't want some man-made half-breed plant. And a lot of your plants have been altered by man. I mean, like broccoli and corn, and the list goes on and on and on. You may say heirloom on it, but man has changed that plant. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Morning Garden. I want to thank you very much for tuning in to one of the number one gardening shows online, in my opinion. I'm going to always say that, in my opinion. And I want all of you to remember, try to stop in and say hello and see how I'm doing. And let's get this conversation about gardening started. Let's see. Sister gardening. That's what it is. Sisters gardening. Thank you. Three Sisters garden. But there's another method that is even more involved in Three Sister garden. Is like you just take a whole bunch of stuff and put it together. It just doesn't. It's just crazy. Um, don't spend all your money on those products in those box stores. There is a product that was on the shelf that says it's a quick start compost pile. I said, ooh. I said, I got 900 pounds of leaves in the yard. I need something that will help me to make this stuff quicker. Read the packaging. Leaves a lot of industry terms, so you don't know what the heck you're looking at. And here's what happened. Before I go, I simply use urine. Yes, folks, urine. Urine will break down a compost pile. Straight urine. People say, well, I should dilute it. Do what you got to do, but I know that straight urine works because when it rains and you get the snow and all that this time of year, uh, it's going to dilute anyway. But urine is nitrogen based, and it will break down the leaves. And guess what, folks? It's free. Don't tell nobody I said that. It's free. Urine is free. All right, folks, take care of this Good Morning Garden. Remember to keep on growing and enjoy your plants and take care of your soil. All right now.